Today is June 30th and the time is 6:37 and we are open the Recreation Committee meeting. As a preliminary matter, this is Mike Falpone, Chair of the Newbury Recreation Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. David Brohl.
Affirmative.
David Dempsey is not here yet. Celine Muldowney.
Affirmative.
Mark Sand.
Affirmative.
Alicia Greco.
Yes.
Employee reps are the town attendees. If any lists want to call your name, there is no one else listed. Anticipated guest speakers on the agenda, no one is listed. Good evening. Today is June 30th, an opening meeting of the Newbury Recreation Committee, which is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public hearings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a public physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to encourage to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meetings. One second, just make sure this isn't David. Okay. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Newbury Recreation Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom, is posted on the Recreation Committee agenda, which can be found on the Recreation Committee page on the town's website. The agenda identifies how the public may join the meeting. This agenda can also be accessed from the website's homepage by clicking on the box that says agendas at the top of the news box. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer unless you're requested to do so by me. Anything that you broadcast may be captured for the recording. Materials were provided to the board committee members prior to the meeting review, if applicable, which is our agenda. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for the effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. For any discussion items, I, the chair, will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, everyone other than board members, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please use earbuds with phones, tablets, and cell phones. Please remember to speak clearly and in any way that helps generate accurate minutes. Take care to not share your screen. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. Board members will be called upon first in alphabetical order to ease the process. If board members wish to engage in a colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. And that's all we need to say on that. So as I go to the agenda, first thing on the list for tonight. All right, list of members present. Reading of the previous minutes.
I didn't get them out. I apologize.
Okay.
No.
I make a motion to suspend, to table the reading the minutes until the next meeting. Do I hear a second?
I second it. Mark Sant.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, Celine?
Aye.
Mark?
Affirmative.
David?
Affirmative.
All right. Any correspondence, Celine?
No correspondence. Bills?
Bills? Mark, do you have any other correspondence?
No.
Okay, I take that back. I had one, and it was mentioned. Sent it out to the gentleman that was, hold it. David Dempsey just sent me an email. Good morning, good evening. I'm at the fire station to be sworn in, so I don't think he'll be attending. or he'll be coming late. I received an email.
He was asking
Someone-
for Zoom. David Dempsey sent an email, it showed up my phone saying that he was looking for a Zoom info. So
And I sent it back to him, so if you
okay,
got it.
excellent, excellent.
All right. The gentleman last year that rented the field, Mo El Saeed from Sphinx Soccer, was wondering when he could start scheduling sessions. He goes, I may have a couple of small groups of Newry residents that I could use an 11 versus 11 field for starting mid-July or beginning in July. I mean, June, and starting mid-June or beginning July. We'll probably start by doing some social distance private sessions with no contact. I sent him the information that I received from Tracy regarding the standard and the guidance on outdoor classes can be done with strict rules. I will be following up with him after, let him know that the information has been posted on the website. He can submit an application, but he's going to have to make sure he can follow all the rules. And I'll make sure I kind of pop in to see what he's doing. That's the only correspondence that I had.
When you said you had posted stuff on the website, what does that entail?
That was the thing you sent the other day. That was Susan was nice enough to put up for me.
Okay, good.
Because I did not. It was asking for a JPEG, which is more of a picture, and I didn't have the ability to save it that way, which is why I asked her. So she did save
Okay.
it for us. So now we go to bills and claims. Celine?
So there was a bill from February from Townsend Oil that was overlooked that I paid roughly $500. So I don't know where we are from the last meeting. We need to get kind of a tally because
I
there's
sent
probably a
out-
good couple $1,000s that was spent.
They sent me the monthly reports on the 25th, and I forwarded them all out to you guys. There is, and I'm going to share. Can I share the screen? I don't know.
What was that?
Hold it. I don't know if it's David now trying to chime back in or not. Nope, sorry. I can't share the screen, but just to give you a quick update, as of 6/18, which is a week before the money you're talking about, Celine, we had $25,882 left available to us. The last things on the list that were paid, the last two in June, was for John DiFilippo for $955 and Northeast Nursery for $1,057. So if you've got stuff after that that hasn't been paid, then we just got to
So
deduct
right
that
now,
from the
it's just
25,800.
it's just the Townsend bill retroactive from February. So that's $500 and change.
So we got a little over 25,000 left in our account
Okay.
for the fiscal
there'll
year,
be-
which ends tonight.
There will be a bill coming in, I would imagine, from DPW for the fencing that was put up.
Are you
The
talking
chain-
like chain link? Where's this, Mark? I've seen the chains and the wooden ones. Is that what you're referring to?
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
And move the
Okay.
gate down to the far end by the septic. So there would be
Okay.
a new fence, a new gate, and whatever that material was.
Okay. Do we have a ballpark idea?
Not up.
Couple hundred?
Last time it was like $2,000 for the whole thing, and it should be around that ballpark.
All right. So
Significantly minor.
all right. So
Just say
if-
20 grand.
Yeah, so if we say we have 20, anything left over that, we're fine. So when we get to the point of discussing possible items, we know where we stand roughly.
So, okay, well, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The problem with that is that unless you buy that stuff and get billed within the next, I don't know, maybe even day, it won't go this year. It'll go next year.
So the money then will just fall back into our revolving. Mark?
Any monies that we don't use go into the revolving account. I don't know when the invoice has to be dated versus when it's submitted. I know when I worked for other municipalities or state, we had bills coming into late July that we could apply to the previous year, but the items were ordered within the fiscal year in which the monies would be deducted from.
Which means there's no way we can order anything between now and the close.
Right. Mark's
Well,
right. You have to have everything, anything would have to be ordered and shipped and taken in hand by today.
All right.
So that money
So-
will just get wrapped and go back into next year's, and then you can go to town meeting again. We can allocate it again next year.
So we had $60,000 approximately, according to Tracy, at the finance committee meeting a couple weeks ago. They had 110. We took the 50,000 for this year's budget, so left is 60. We're going to roll approximately $23,000 back into that amount. So if that works, we're going to have our revolving will be somewhere in a little over $80,000.
So whatever, you were allocated 60 this year or 50?
50.
50, and you spent how much?
Well, no, about half, a little over half.
All right, so the remaining half will go tie it back out to the revolving fund.
Yep.
And next, so that'll be, minus another 25, and then you were already allocated the 50. But you can only spend this fiscal year, you can only spend the 50.
We know
If
that.
you overspend, you'll have to go to town meeting, and it'll have a special town meeting to pay them. But you
No,
guys should be all right.
Yeah, we're
I
in
think
good shape.
so. I think so. We were trying to be a little aggressive and, help spread things over a couple years. But if that doesn't happen, we should still be okay.
I mean, we were looking at things for the field house. We were looking at possibly, Dave Dempsey had an idea that maybe we allocate the money for the basketball hoops, that portion of it, out of this year's budget, where we'd still, between the two, we wouldn't even spend half of the money we had left. So we could have kind of split it up, as Celine said.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen now.
No,
So.
it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So, old business, basketball court. Well done, everybody. Somebody describe that one.
Yeah.
That was a
Patrick-
great vote. That was a great vote from the town.
I wish Patrick Heffernan was back for that one. I don't know if he was there that night, but he's the one that
He was
started
there.
this.
No,
He was sick.
he and his wife were there, and it was great to see them. Yeah.
He started this a few years ago, and love to get him back for that one. We were
Can I
talking
make-
about. Go ahead, Mark.
Can I make a suggestion with regards to the basketball court? I can take and write the letter of thanks to the anonymous donor. If
Please.
somebody could take the one to Triton Youth Basketball. And I can also create one for everybody to review for the newspaper to give a general thanks to the community for supporting this endeavor.
That's already in the works. Alicia's already reached out to the paper. As soon as they have the ability to do it, we are doing it. We already started talking about it.
Yeah, but Mark's talking about something different. I asked the paper to cover it as a story because it's a real feel-good thing. It's a big deal for Newbury, but I think Mark would like to write a thank you note to the citizens.
For the page,
Like,
yes.
Okay.
Acknowledging the different people, confidence in the rec committee, the different donations, etc. I can draft something for the people to review, then we can push it up to Tracy for her final approval. We'll send it in.
That's fine. Thank you very much. That's perfect.
Who wants to do the thank you note to Triton Youth Basketball?
I'll take care of that.
Okay.
Celine, is that going to Matt still, or is it going to go to someone else, did you say?
For right now, it's still Matt if you do it in the short term.
Okay. I'm going to keep it relatively short and sweet. This is what they wanted, so I'll get that out in the next few days.
Awesome.
Regarding the basketball hoops, Dave was, when we were talking about the cost on the hoops itself, we were trying to figure if there's a way maybe we could either get them in wholesale with someplace where a municipality or something like that. So the thought was, do we do an RFP as one full thing, or do we do it in pieces, such as the leveling and getting all the foundation piece done as one project, and then the court where we could hit just specific companies that do that, and then work the basketball courts, the hoops into it as well, or even break that into a third part.
So my thought on this is, I think that what is the max amount of money we have to spend before we put it out to bid?
25,000. You can't, anything over 25 has to go out for bid.
All right, so now I could be totally high in this, but I'm thinking that between getting the town involved in bringing backfill and maybe putting some of those blocks that they have on the right hand, they have those huge, they're granite blocks or whatever on the right hand side as you drive in the field. If we use that as as an edging for the soil, if we can get the town to put in the leveling and to crunch it down so that, because they have the equipment to do that, that portion would be taken care of. We could put out the bid, the concrete slab, and that should be less than $25,000, or not put out the bid, but we could talk around and get that done for underneath $25,000. And I think that the actual rubber surface may not be all that much money. And what they do is you make a contract with these people and you tell them what you want and the grid size and what you can have stuff written on it. So you could say, town of Newbury, the Central Street Fields. And then you set up basically, if you want a couple pickleball courts set up. So all this stuff printed on those grids. And then all you do is it's like a giant puzzle. You just put the pieces down on the concrete and you're done. You would have someone set the hoops and you walk away. So it may be something, and I don't know what the skill level is with the DPW, but if they're able to at least, set the base down, we could get a concrete company in to pour it for under 25 easily, I believe, because all you do is it's 4 inches of concrete of that distance, and you have rebar set in some. So there'd be a line of rebar, the concrete gets poured, and then after that, it's as simple as you pick your grids, how you want them, designed and what the style is, and we will six hoops, and then after that, then you set your hoops in, and you're done. So there may be other little things like the fence and stuff like that, but we may be able to do this without bringing out the bid. But I reached out to the people that I talked to before, and I'm still waiting back to hear from them as far as how they would run it. But
So I have a comment on that, Dave. If the whole project, even if you break it up into chunks, is
Yep.
going to amount to more than $25,000, it has to go out to bid. Those
Okay.
are procurement laws.
So the answer to that question is no, we can't do it. We could certainly,
So
but you're
even
gonna have
if
to RFP each piece of that then to get it out.
is that what you're saying? Because so each piece, even though it may be okay, I understand that.
So
Some of the
other
parts
thing
can't be.
The other thing I was going to say was, do you have a set of plans for this and how it's going to be and where it's going to lay out and where the parking's going to be and where the fence is going to go and all that other stuff?
We had a very rough aerial that I drew up, but Mark and I went out probably a summer ago and we staked it all out. I think that Mark talked to the fire department as far as
Yes.
to make sure that they were good with how much room we left on the right-hand side for them to go around and turn around and do everything. So I can come up with a better sort of plot plan.
So I don't know, because I've never built a basketball court before, but is this something that you need plans like a house?
I don't believe so. It's pretty much like 60 by 90 or something like that. So that's your
100.
Is that what it is?
We do 60 by 100.
So it would be a 60 by 100 area, and then from there you decide, you fill in the blanks. So it's not,
Right.
It's just a
Well, I
giant.
just, I wanted to be, I want to make sure that we dot our i's and cross our t's and make sure that it's done right from the
Yep.
get-go.
Yep.
So if we need to get a plan, even if you mail away for them, I would recommend doing that so that the DPW knows exactly what it is that they're gonna do. And then I would talk to Tracy and see if the DPW even has the bandwidth for this, because they're in paving season now. And then they're gonna work on the Plum Island bathrooms on their off time. And then, if you throw this on there, I don't know if they have it in their bandwidth.
Well, I mean, we have.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at this point that we. I don't. And maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. That we plan on having it done by the end of the fall or anything. Is there anyone else sort of agree with that or not?
I was thinking spring next year.
Yeah.
Is what I was hoping for. I figured if we have to send this out to bid, whether we could do it in pieces or if we could do it as one whole thing. Hearing what Alicia said, we've got to do it in one whole thing. I mean, you're going to put the RFP together sometime in the next 30 to 45 days. It's got to go out for 60, I think it is. 30 or 60 days. We have to wait for responses. And then we
Yeah,
got to hope we get up, and we've got to make sure we get enough responses out of it.
Yeah, and Tracy can help you with all that,
All right,
Okay.
2 quick points. Do we need a permit to do this?
probably.
And, okay, and B, this is not a reflection of the quality of work put out by our DPW, but with something of this caliber, particularly when you're redoing the concrete and the
I would.
the base, if there's anything that goes wrong with it, we can go back to the initial installer instead
Okay.
of saying,
Right.
well, DPW.
There's a
So
lot of
just-
value in that. I think there's a lot of value in that.
I think that what I was thinking was that a lot of these courts, when they're done, what happens is they're working off a level surface. So you know what, I will reach out to this guy that I talked to before because he keeps emailing me every 3 months and asks me what the status is. I will talk to him and find out if they need the base done or, will they provide, from soup to nuts. If these companies do soup for nuts or do they basically do, you have everything leveled and ready to go, and then we come in and do the concrete, the covering and the hoops. So I'll call up.
Yeah, because you had
Okay.
said he didn't do it all, and I just couldn't remember where that line was, if it was the concrete or if he only did the court and the hoop. So
Yeah. Again, when I've talked to 2 different people on this, it's very interesting because at the meeting they said, did you guys go out and get estimates for it? And I found it is impossible to have them say, yeah, it's going to be this amount of money. What I basically said is how much is it going to be, and they did I don't really know, but prevailing wage is going to increase it, and so I never got a definitive number. It was always like, it all depends on prevailing wage. And I think another thing is that they don't want to show their cards. So if they know it's a municipality and that it's going to go out for bid, they want to, have a decent bid. So they weren't going to say, okay, it's going to 30,000 or whatever it is.
Right.
So.
Well, that's why you put it out to bid and see what the numbers are.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if it's higher, then it's higher.
Yep.
Okay.
We've done a good faith guesstimate, and that's what we based our numbers on. And there's nothing we can do about what the bid comes out. We know that from
That's right.
other projects that the town has undertaken.
Listen,
And we had,
I can tell you about the police station was in the same boat, so.
yes, so
I agree with Mark said earlier regarding I'd rather keep the town separate where we have the ability to go back if we need to. I don't want to
Okay.
have to blame the town if something happens and have to try to fight that. Plus, I don't want to have to deal with their bandwidth issue.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Next thing on the list we have is the online calendar and the website assistance, identified personnel.
Celine, do you have an update on that?
I don't.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
sorry.
either. I
I'm
don't
sorry,
either.
and
mean, we're just coming off town meeting, and I know the town administrator was going to talk to the assistant treasurer, Lindsay, and see what what's what. But I think maybe, Celine, can I ask you when you have a moment to reach out? She's going to be on vacation next week. She's working this week, but she's off next week. If you could circle back with Tracy and just let her know exactly what it is you need, because I don't think it's a lot and I don't think she understands.
Okay.
So if you could just do that, and then hopefully they can take that piece from you guys.
My concern is that the fall calendar is swinging around the corner and it's just kind of lying out there in emails and applications and.
Well, the applications go into the town anyways, right?
Right, and they just send them to me.
Right. So we gotta put that in a box with a little bow on it.
Yeah. I
I
mean, for
think
the most part, they play nicely in the sandbox and they schedule things well, but, you know, we made a lot of transitions with the new calendar and the new fee schedule. And they kind of shift the hours a little bit, and so it's not cut and dry.
All right.
But
Well, if you need me to help you with that, just let me know.
David?
Yeah, I was wondering, is the fact that also the town has gone from, especially IT people, before it was, they were doing their sort of normal thing, and when you throw the Zoom thing, it's kind of difficult for them to catch up to all what we're asking them to do. So I still think we get it done for fall, and if not for spring, to have some kind of system. But we'll see.
Mark?
I don't think it'll happen for fall because it should be happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should already be up.
But
And with
somebody
the-
needs to be tracking the calendar right now, and it's just not in my bandwidth.
So if it comes down to the fall and people are starting to put in their bids for the fall,
They already have.
is there any way, because like at one point it was brought up, Ellen said to me that you guys have the ultimate decision on when they can use the field and when they can't. So if they decide to say, well, we want all of Sunday from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night, when does the point get that we can say, all right, and Mark, you have this, you ended up asking them to have certain times so you could do the Frisbee. Is there a time that we can say, at this point, these areas are blocked off and these times are blocked off, and you can have anything else in that period of time? Or do we just let them go willy-nilly and take the whole day and not have that?
They're not doing that, but I have to admit, I haven't even taken their applications and put them down on a calendar to compare. I did
Okay.
it in the spring. I haven't done it for the fall. I just,
Yeah, no.
Do you, Celine, if is there any way in the next couple of days, if we can find time to get together, I will get those from you and I'll take a look at it, see what I got.
sure.
I know you're out straight, so.
I
we'll
just
text
can't
and just-
micromanage this. It's something we shouldn't be doing anyway.
No.
No,
They,
it's a
and
quick
then the
analysis.
fact
I can
that-
look at, I have everything from the last couple of years on that spreadsheet that I put together. So I could just take a look real quick to see what we're looking at.
But the thing is that they requested field time and then they adjusted it. And I don't understand, Mark, maybe you can speak to that. They requested this amount of time and then now all of a sudden it's this amount of time based on their schedules. So I never know when to build them and when to really set the schedule because it's constantly revolving and changing.
I think there's a couple things at play. I do believe that earlier this year, late last year, we kind of asked them to send in an application early so we get a sense of what's coming in and what kind of space requirements are needed. It's easier for all parties, I think, to pare down to use the fields less than to put a request in and then all of a sudden require more time and more space.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think that way, doing it that way is, okay, we want all the fields all the time. And then they figure it out. They say, okay, well, maybe we don't need it. But on the other hand, maybe we should, because we're in control, maybe we should be saying, okay, we have the possibility of doing ultimate Frisbee on Sunday morning from 10 to noon. We should box off these fields, and then when they apply for them, we say, you can't use the fields from 10 to noon. You can't use these fields from 10 to noon because we have them boxed off for possibility of other stuff. Instead of having them be in control and say, we want all the fields, and then afterwards say, well, we probably don't
Okay.
need them. I
Well,
don't
I
know.
think that's a,
Let's back up for a second. They're not in control. They're putting a request in for space based on what their needs are. We all agree on that. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a yes. What they're looking for is, can we use it? They're not using every day, all the time. There are certain times in which, say, Triton Youth Lacrosse, it's essential that they have availabilities on Sunday, because that's when games are, and they have no control or limited control of what the league schedules for them, when and where. But we do know that with lacrosse, for example, they have half their games home and traditionally half away. It might be out of the 8 games, 6 and 2, but they try to have it 50-50. The club soccer programs always play or traditionally play on Sunday, and that's an agreement by the New England Premier Soccer, so teams can travel from Connecticut to Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Town soccer tends to play on Saturday, so those days of games are not as, I don't use the word flexible, but they have less ability to manipulate the schedule. During the week, Monday through Friday, it's not much of an issue. We do know that with the schedules, fields 1 and 2, assuming that they're still for lacrosse, because there's only a handful of teams, and because they'll be playing some of the games over in Georgetown, there's going to be space available there. And unless Triton Youth Lacrosse has I think it's an 8th grade team that plays on Sundays occasionally, their field 3 and 4 or 4 and 5, again, the Essex County League says, here's your schedule, you need to find the fields.
so I think rather than getting down to the minutia of the fields and what's going on, let's look at the bigger picture. So because we're trying to accommodate the youth sports, but we're beholden to their higher, directories
by
that
the
are,
governing bodies.
right, that are, and so at what point do we have to draw the line and say, and what do other towns do, I guess is my question. Do they wait for, Triton, for youth soccer to determine when they can have the fields and then they register for the fields? I mean, that's because what we're doing on a per hour basis is not abnormal, but managing it is now a different thing. And I'm sure all these other towns don't wait for things
No,
to
I
be
can give you
scheduled.
some examples. West Newbury, for Pipes Dave, they have like 5 fields there. Lacrosse, each team pays that means each, like lacrosse will pay $500 for the season for 2 fields, and the lacrosse figures out how they schedule everything.
But that's not where we are. We're at the
but
hourly basis.
you've asked me for examples. That's how they handled it. Newburyport, some of their fields, they gave exclusive use to their soccer program.
And
that's-
how did
Block it
they do
out.
that? Did they pigeonhole their time, or did they say, oh, you can use whatever time you want?
They block it out
They-
to make it work into it.
But
They
how
say-
much do they block out?
I don't know that answer.
For like
Yeah,
Cherry Hill, my understanding is the soccer teams have full access. If they're not using it, they can let Triton Youth Lacrosse, or not Triton, Newbury Lacrosse use it.
So, okay, my only
So-
caveat with that is that those are towns with many more fields than what we have. One set of fields we're working with many different users. So I'm just trying to find out the right model
Balance.
that we should be following. And it's not going to happen for this fall. It's
Yeah.
just not.
I will make phone calls. I'll go through the whole list of people that I've talked to before, and I will make phone calls and find out how their general model is and how they do that. When I talked to people from Topsfield before, they said, no, we don't allow, other users. It's just Topsfield people. They might, that's what they said before. So I don't know if that has changed, but Topsfield is one of the ones I first approached saying, what do you guys do per hour and stuff like that? And they didn't do it that way. So,
They don't even charge their players, do they?
I don't know. They don't.
Yeah, I don't think the Masco teams use the fields for free, and it's similar to Boxford and Milton.
Well, Boxford,
They're all the same town. All the same.
no, Boxford has
The BAA.
an amazing field, but that is privately run. So it's not run by the town. The town of Boxford has this beautiful set of fields out there, but what they did was they just said, this group X, you run it and you pay us. So it's a private organization that runs all the Boxford fields. Because I talked to them and they're like, we don't have any control on that. It's some private group that runs it. So yeah, let me go out and start making phone calls.
We have to find a model that is the model that we have, not what, and how that works going forward and how they register people for the blocks of time and what time frame they give them. Because if we give people an inordinate amount of time to schedule their slots, then we're not giving other people time to take up the free slots. It just becomes last minute and willy-nilly.
And I thought that originally this whole process was to somewhat have some control on the fields, and it, again, it goes back to, and I just feel like ripping all my hair out when I talk about this, but we went back a bunch of Sundays ago when the world was normal again, and I drive up there and there'd be 3 or 4 fields that were kind of empty, and then other people are playing, but they were taken for the whole, back in the day when they would just, we want the whole field. I find that frustrating that, that in theory, if some kids decide to go on there, someone could say, nope, you have to leave. And if we had, certain areas blocked off, because we have the ability to do that, and, Mark could have his ultimate Frisbee show up when, from 11 to 2 or 11 to 12 or 11 to 1, and we know for sure that we have these fields already blocked off, and so the other guys, they have to work around that. And I don't know if I think
the reality of that is that we have to get the calendar online. We have to go through a season with our users before we're able to really get a feel for what we can block out. I mean, it's a process. It's not just going to happen like this. It's going to have to evolve. That's just my feeling. But I think we will get to that point, David, where we can do that. I think we have to just start with the online calendar and get a good processing system down where our users know how to block time and automatically be billed. We shouldn't, Lindsay and I were trying to calculate hours and figure it out, and we shouldn't be doing that. That should be automated. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. David, let me know what you find out. We go from there. Celine, I'll get that list, the schedules, and see if we get an idea of how
You're gonna
much
have to
open
remind
time.
me.
I'll text you next day or two. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You around Friday by any chance? Or you out? No, that's a dumb question. You out straight?
No, I should be around Friday.
Okay.
The later in the weeks are better than the earlier in the weeks.
Yeah. I'm booked the weekend, but Friday I got nothing scheduled, so I'll.
My husband is working. We're both working all weekend, so there's no holiday.
I'll find you someplace.
Yeah. Just let me know when you can hear a side note. when you're
Go ahead.
on that part of your agenda.
On a side note of what?
I just drove by the field and there's trash all over the
That's
dumpster.
on the list down here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That needs to be emptied.
So spending operating plan, any purchases on the field house, which is what we were talking about, trying to get it done before the switch over. But
It's too
we had
late.
talked, well, it's not too late. We can still look at the idea. It's a question of whether we do it now or in the spring, if we want to do something like that. Because, I mean, it's funny, not to go back to the topic real quick, but we still haven't been told. Right now, all we got is basic drills. There is no rules yet in place for full contact yet. So we may not have a fall yet.
Well, that comes down later.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out later, but that's another thing we have,
Well,
everybody's going to be prepared for.
It's part of the agenda down here,
I know.
under new business. Okay. But also under operating plan and spending plan, it is critical that we don't continue to have an abundance of unspent funds,
No,
which
you're
is a
right.
reflection of us not doing our spending plan. That we should have a spending plan. Actually, most municipalities, departments, even at the state level, you have a spending plan before your money's allocated, so you know where it's going. That we shouldn't be making have half of our budget unaccounted for or encumbered. So can we, by the end of August, have a plan for the $50,000 that have been appropriated to us so that we know what we're spending the money on throughout the year?
I thought we had that in pretty good shape.
That's correct.
Well, then why
It
do we
was
have
down to
20
like $13,000 that we hadn't spent.
Yep. I
Spent.
got it right in front of me. 14,000. It's the money we spend for Mello, DiFilippo, Townsend, Septic. the
So,
porta
and
potties.
since we did that, there was probably at least another easily $3,000 with the fencing that was put in and the fertilizer that was put down and the Townsend bill that was forgotten about because of COVID. So, we're probably only about $10,000 short, which I understand what you're saying, Mark, but I think having that percentage available to do other things that, we had planned to do, except that then we were waiting for the basketball court to be decided upon. I mean, I think at our last meeting, we would have voted to spend on some things for the field house. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm just stating my opinion. Mark, you might have a different opinion.
The practice that I have been instilled upon with particular municipalities or even in businesses is you have your plan going forward. That we have an allocation and schedules of acquisitions that we are well aware of, so that even if we reevaluate it at mid-year, we could say, all right, we're on track or we're overspending on this, we can then reevaluate our budget. But to say that we have, and I think, Michael, at the beginning of the meeting, you said we had $25,882 available.
That's correct.
So that's
Really?
more than half of.
How do we have that much available? I don't understand that.
I don't know if it was part of the expenses were done later, but
Have we been
I'm looking-
charged for the spring mowing? See, I don't, those numbers aren't adding up to me.
I agree 100%, Celine. The last thing,
Well, you remember
no,
last
I don't see anything for the spring yet. And again, this is up until 6/18, so it's 12 days ago. I don't know if they're going to hit us with it then or not.
we had last year or the year before, we had a good chunk of money left in our budget, but they took it all to finish the field houses.
Roof.
So what's that? Yeah, so I
Roof.
think that we always have, we haven't spent to our total allocated amount, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it would be a bad thing if we were spending, and then come, June, or the end of June that we didn't have enough money in the account to continue on or whatever, which turned out to be last year where,
Well,
or
I
2
think
years.
we're still in the learning curve of trying to figure out. So let's back up a few years. You know, we didn't used to pay for mowing, then we have to pay for mowing. Then we have to pay for the DPW and the extra work they do. Then we have to pay for fertilizer. Now, you know, that's a year or two of trying to figure that out. Now we have the expenses of the field house, which we really even haven't had a good test of because we've used it one season, it was
Yep.
closed this season. And so we really don't even know what those numbers are. So I think, Mark, to your point, I think it's a valid point, but I think we're working towards that. And yes, maybe August or September is a good time frame, a good goal. But I don't think it's for lack of not trying. It's for lack of that the information is constantly evolving and changing. Is that fair?
Yeah, of course it's fair. What I'm suggesting is that in terms of allocations of funding, we should have a game plan. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be to the penny. We have fits and starts with this left and right. So we should know throughout the season about how much is left, about what we can spend. I'm not saying that we necessarily have to spend everything. I don't think that's a good policy to have, or force ourselves to use the taxpayer money just to use it up. Because
I think the hard thing, I will say, I understand what you're trying to say, but the hard thing is that we're not really in control of what's being spent. Like all of a sudden we get this bill for something that was done. And so as much as we try and allocate and we're trying to budget, then all of a sudden it's like we have to pay for shingles or we have to pay for fencing or we have to pay. So we ask them to do things, which is great that they do it. They do a wonderful job, but we don't have any control over what that budget is. We just get billed.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up for a second. We do have control about what we allocate to have that stuff done. Just not including the care of the fields. You know,
No. Take a look.
Have,
last year, we had the same situation where all of a sudden we got a bill for doing the roof because the roof is falling apart and they had to buy shingles. Or so there are all these things that the DPW for some reason decides, okay, and again, I believe it all comes down to accounting. I think that one of the reasons that we're paying for the field cutting is not because we're a separate entity and we should be paying for the field cutting. I think it all comes down to accounting purposes, where the budget for the DPW is X amount of money, and they can use money from our account to cover some of their cutting cost. Because in general terms, DPW cut everything, and then when they're done, it just gets charged off to a general fund. But in our situation, I mean, like right now, we know that the library lot gets cut by DPW. I know that the road that goes up to Nob Hill gets cut by DPW, but that neighborhood doesn't get charged for it, and the library doesn't get charged for it. But we get, and I think it comes down to accounting. So I think that we've done a fairly decent job keeping. I thought we went through this whole process, and I could be wrong.
We did, and I just resent it to every one of you.
Yeah.
I said, right now I'm looking at it. So including the $15,000 a year we had projected for the lawn. Last time we were billed for just short of 8 back in for the fall. So we have not received the spring. I would not be shocked if it's sitting on the desk and it'll be posted in a business today or within the last 12 days. So it could be another $7,000, $8,000. We had projected, based on our expenses for everything, that we were spending our annual expenses were about $36,000, leaving 14 left either for programming expenses or something that we had. That was the money that was not our play money, but it was the money that we knew we had the ability to do things with. But then as David was saying, we still could then get other things get added to it that we have to kind of keep an eye. So if you're looking at a $14,000 buffer, really you're looking probably at
10.
8 to 10.
Yeah.
And then, you have that 4, because you don't want to spend, and it's Mark's point earlier, you don't want to spend everything, but you want to get close so it looks like we're being productive and we're being good stewards of the money and what we're doing.
Agreed. I'm not saying, I'm not
No.
dissuading what Mark is presenting. I think it's valid. I just,
Plus, I thought you guys wanted to have some money for programming too.
Yes,
There was
and that's
additional
why,
programming
Alicia,
that you
we're not
wanted to
even
bring in, so
there.
you
I
needed a
mean,
buffer for
okay.
that too, right?
Well,
Yeah.
that
no,
was in that.
We
we
have
love
to,
that, but then we get, every time we try and do something, we're told, no, that's not. what-"
okay, Alicia, yes, we wanted to have money for programming. However, at a town meeting a couple years ago, the clarification of what we could use our revolving funds for clearly expressed that it was for the field, for the fields, plural. Hence my clarification question that I had you ask Tracy regarding Kent Way, that the funds that are allocated to us annually at the town meeting can be used for Kent Way. Nothing can be used for programming itself, nor can it be used for acquisition of material for other areas. Is that clear?
Everything's got to be related to Central Street or Kent Way.
Kent Way.
That's
At
it.
this time, unless,
Yeah.
as Tracy said, we write and we go to town meeting and ask to revise or redefine what we can use our monies for. But right now, the way it is written, that's our limitation.
That's why
The
when we
way
were
the
talking
revolving
about,
fund is designed. Okay.
when we were looking at things, if we were doing this early in the month, we were looking at possibly getting our fridge or something for the field house. It fell under our purview that we're allowed to do, as long as we could afford to do it. So these were things that were like, we can do it here. It's like, if we wanted to get an engineer to go out to Kent Way to say, hey, let's get an idea what the feasibility is. It's applied to that piece of property and we can do something with that. But if we wanted to take and saying, okay, let's go to Newby Elementary and check there, they won't allow it. So,
Point of clarification, Mike.
yeah,
Engineering and material consulting does come out of the town administrator's budget. That wouldn't come out of ours. If they went
and
through
we'll be
and
writing one because it's on the list here to talk about Kent Way in a minute.
okay. So my point being with, and we can move on from spending, we should have a general plan. We're really close to it. We've been making progress, but again, something to say, here it is. If somebody said, can I see your budget? We have a piece of paper to show them that here's where we're allocating as much money as we know of and where it goes. If it only accounts for 80% of it, that's fine. But
Yeah.
from a budgetary perspective, that's what we got.
Yep. And like I said, I just resent the list. We did all this work in November. It's been emailed to everybody, so you have the latest and we can adjust from there. It's just what we want to do with the balance and what we think we can do with it. It's like any checking account. You know the expenses are coming. It's just you gotta let you make sure you get the money out.
Michael or Celine, could somebody send a notice to Eileen to appropriately account for the mowing?
Oh, I'm hearing David's car.
That was Joe Biden, sorry.
Okay. So what was that, Mark? You want to get an updated number?
No, I'm asking somebody because I had to do it last year. It wasn't included in those numbers. So
Which
we
was?
asked it at one point last year when I looked through the financials, the spring mowing fee was not included. And I wrote back to her saying, there seems to be a mistake. Could you please add the mowing expenses to it so we have an accurate account of what's in our remaining balance?
I will email Eileen right after this meeting. I'll ask about the status of the spring mowing and can we make sure it gets applied to this fiscal year, not the new one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next on the list, I have Kent Way. So we now know it falls under our purview. And as I just stated before, I think the idea of getting an engineer out and seeing what we could do, what's the feasibility, at least get an idea. I don't know what an engineer costs, but if it's not coming out of our budget, I'm not really worried about it. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on the matter. Kinda quiet.
I'm not sure if that is the first step. I do know with other property development, you have ideas what you want to do, then you can send your different consultants and science and engineers out to see if those ideas can fit. Like if you're doing a housing development, you look at the property, you have a general idea. They might do a walkthrough to see where the wetlands are, if there's any physical features that would inhibit the development, how you'd work around it. Then you would end up drafting plans for the ideas.
So I think we do have a general idea that we want to make some kind of recreational facility there.
Yes.
I would, if I were you guys, I would have a working meeting and just draw it on a piece of paper on what you would like to see as a holistic approach across the whole town for recreational needs. I think the town administrator would like to have a plan from you guys to would just say, you know, and then you guys know where we have the playing fields, and now we're gonna have a basketball court. I mean, I think we should talk about the canoe thing in the back, and then what your vision is for Kent Way. And once you have it kind of on the back of a napkin, I guess, then you can hire someone in engineering firm to come in and see what you can do and come up with a plan. And then as the town has money of it, and then list of priorities, you guys need to prioritize it, what you want to do first, second, third, and last. And then once the town has some extra money, we can chip away at it all. But the plan will be in place and it'll be done. And I think that would benefit the town greatly.
Okay. So the main thing on the next meetings, not that I'm getting off of that to a point, we need to make sure from the basketball court, we need ideas there, but Kent Way is the other thing. Those are the two areas right now, our main areas of responsibility that we need. We lost David somehow. Technically, I think we're at 5. I think we're okay. As long as no one else leaves. He'll probably be back knowing the way his connection's been going. The conflict of interest, has everybody completed that?
That was what we did with
Leslie,
Leslie.
we did.
Oh, that, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I know David Dempsey wasn't there, but I'm hoping he got it done too, so.
Okay.
Field applications, again, Celine, you have those. I'll get those on Friday from you and try to get an
Well, we
idea.
have summer ones.
Have
we
you
approved-
No,
received,
there's fall applications that came through.
have we got summer applications?
I understand that. There's two different things going on here. There's a summer application in.
There is, other than the
Yes.
one I have? I have an inquiry. I don't have an application.
Mark, why don't you put it down in an email so that we know exactly
Well,
what is it?
Because,
You can email me what,
okay, it's time sensitive. Did GP Rush send a summer?
I didn't see a summer, I saw a fall. I honestly did not see a summer, I saw a fall. And are we even open?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We are open to,
And who is Rush? Like, where did they come from?
It's another. When we started, it was United North Shore United Soccer. Then he changed, affiliated with GPS, and now he's affiliating with Rush. David and I, Alicia, you were on the phone call with the chief of police town manager and board of selectmen, which we discussed and approved our opening. That's why the document that I asked Michael, and I sent everybody the document that we are open for phase 2. And we've been ready to go. Most other
Yeah,
towns
but you're
are
open,
operating.
but you're open with some restrictions. You're not
Phase
unrestricted.
2 restrictions, and that's what's posted on
Yeah.
our website.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at it. It's there. But that still doesn't leave an awful lot of opportunities to what they could do.
It's not, if they want to sit there and do jumping jacks 6 feet apart, that's up to them. Let's put it this way. Most other towns are already operating their user and club teams. The goal was to get, and the commission that established these guidelines recognize the importance of getting youth, and this was actually articulated by our chief of police, getting the youth outside doing something, ideally supervised. So good coaches, they can figure out what to do that meet the regs.
All
I'm
right, so
just
now,
saying, I went to the driving range the other day and there was no social distancing happening over there. Whatever rules are in place are not being practiced. But
That's-
Mark, when was that sent?
To every.
Celine, while he's
That's why
looking
I'm
real
not doing the
quickly,
calendar, because I can't keep track of this stuff. I just can't.
Yeah, I thought that we had discussed it and we still had some things to work out. One of the things where we were discussing the fact about, and it was up to us about, and Alicia sort of can agree to this, that we're going to make the fields a certain size. We're going to do quadrants so that people just show up, that these teams that wanted to do stuff, they could be in X field or so. I don't know where we're at that. I thought it was still, I thought that Alicia said that the bottom line was that, or the chief of police said the bottom line was it was up to the chief of police, the fields were open, not for the board of health. So assume that we're good, but I don't know that for sure. I know the state allowed it up in this.
And David, you blacked out. Alicia, remember during the meeting, you had appointed Deb, Tracy, myself, and then you turned around and said, not it, to resolve it. And I worked with Deb and Tracy, hence the document that I created that was sent to people and Mike posted that gives the outlines for phase 2.
Yeah.
So the fields are open. And I had a conversation with Tracy, because originally they only opened up fields, the upper green and the lower green, but it's now including the Mantor field as per that document.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the application, but I'm way back scrolling. Okay.
all right, so,
Well, they sent in an application for the summer as well as for the fall. And it was back like in, I want to say June.
Well, I'm back in June in my emails. Oh, that was the email, the application where there was no name on it?
I don't know. I don't think that was it. I think there was an earlier one.
It was earlier than that one? That would be the spring one.
No, my understanding is they put an application in.
That was the one with no name and nothing on it, and then we had to
There
send
might
it
have
back.
been, I think there was one earlier.
So when they sent it in, who did they send it in to? The town?
They send
To
it to the
Lynn.
town who forwards it off to us.
Usually Lindsay sends it up.
It just doesn't work. It's just a,
Well, is there any way to get a hold of them to see if they can resend it?
Yeah, but yes, we can. But it's time sensitive because they're looking to do stuff during next month.
During July or
Yes.
August? I'm sorry,
July.
next month is tomorrow. That's why I was making sure.
That's in July.
And we don't have any idea what it is, and we can't vote on it without it. And I don't want to have another meeting in 2 weeks because we're going to be beating our
Well,
head against the wall anyway.
the clinic is next week. We should have.
Well, if we don't have an application and we don't have anything showing it, unfortunately, it's not we're hiding it or saying no to it. We just don't have it. And based on the current situation, they should have been checking
Okay.
sooner to see what it is too. So
All right. How about February 19th?
I don't have that on my phone. Can you forward that? February 19th is a spring application. It's not, so that's under GPS. That's not under Rush or whatever.
It says July 6th to August.
Can you forward that application to everybody? That's under GPS, right?
From
They can't change
Stefano.
the name and then the insurance changes and, you know, they're
they're trying to get around it to get it saying, oh, it's the same group. Well, we need specifics.
Wait, guys, if we took care of this when we were supposed to, this wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, Mark, you can be in charge of the calendar and the applications then. That's your deal.
All right, can we vote on this?
I'm not voting on anything until I see it, see an application.
Hold on, just sent it to everybody.
While we're waiting on that, I will go back to it in a second. The yoga update is listed on the old business, but I don't think we have anything here we can do anything with it. Am I correct, or is there something we can do with it?
I mean, we could, if they do it outside and they space them, what the state.
I thought we weren't allowed to budget them.
No, we're not, but there was a group that was looking at space.
Yeah, and I think it's a town person, right?
Yeah.
Michael, you're frozen?
I am.
Nope.
I see
I
everybody.
can't
Unless I don't have the email. Mark, which email did you send it to? Because a lot of people spell it wrong, and that's why I want to make sure. Because I do not have anything, and I've gotten emails from 3 other people in the last 15 minutes.
Macy21@gmail.com.
MACV.
All right, well, this is,
Shouldn't be a Y, it should be a V. And that's what a lot of people unfortunately do. That's why I never got it.
no, that was what was sent out. I just forwarded it to everybody. So let me redo that.
There's no attachment to it. There's the email with no attachment.
And while we're waiting on that, David Dempsey just let me know that he is now officially sworn in. And Mark's email just came over.
What was the initial date? February what?
19.
19th was when it was sent to us.
Yeah, we didn't get any kind of.
It came from Lindsay. Hello, everyone. Stefano sent this over yesterday evening for the summer session. I figure it's best to forward it to all of you so you have a heads up. And there are 4 attachments in here, but one is for Twitter, one's for Facebook, one's for YouTube, and the last one is an attachment and it's listed GPS North Shore, Stefano, his address, and there's a post-it on the side. He's looking for a two-way camp, but there's a post-it on it that says need Corey and insurance info with put before season begins.
But it's no longer GPS, it's some other thing.
Well,
It's
I don't have
Stefano's
that.
application. So
It says league name, GPS North Shore. So we're gonna need we need a Corey, an insurance form before we can even entertain it.
if that gets done, I mean, again, when we wrote our document, we asked them to supply this, because they're not gonna know all the information until just before things happen. If they can get the Corey and the insurance information, are we good?
Who's the onus on? Is the onus on us or is the onus on the
Them.
user to provide the information?
Them.
They cannot provide a Corey in February for stuff they're doing in.
Then they should follow up in June or May.
But according to our document, we should have approved this already.
Well,
Mark,
Mark, if we had approved that, it would have been shot down because it would have gone to GPS, not to another company.
Yep.
Not
if we
only
voted on
that,
it.
but you had COVID.
This is
Everything
summer.
was on hold.
Okay.
I mean, this came in before COVID hit, Alicia, on that regards, because it came in February 19th.
I
My problem
understand
here
that
is
they
it's
want
a
to
different
Stopped in
company.
March. Everything stopped in March.
Yeah, but this was a month before.
Right now, we're not dealing with that. The fields are open. We have an
I'll be right back.
applicant Stefano, who wants to use, pay for using the field. We can ask him to finish his application before he uses it, which we've done with other programs. Provisionally approve it until the insurance and the Corey's in. And if they're not in, he can't use it.
well, he has until Thursday.
Okay?
I mean, I get frustrated with this because you have all this information and the rest of the committee doesn't. So now all of a
You have the
sudden,
document
why?
in front of me. You
Huh?
have the document in front of you. It's been sent to all of us.
No,
But
it
was
is
never
not.
put back on our, you have to
okay.
admit, it was not put back on our radar. If Stefano was really concerned about having access to the fields,
You're
he should
absolutely right. You're
talk to the
absolutely right.
committee. And that's all, the onus is on him for that, not us. You know, so now you're asking us to scramble, which I'm not
No.
saying no, but it's kind of like, this could have been brought up at the last meeting.
Okay.
He knew this was
Here's-
coming around.
Here's what we've done in the past with lacrosse and soccer town. They didn't have full rosters. They didn't have their Corys. And according to our permit application process, we can give them a provisional approval upon completing the rest of the documentation that is requested of them.
Yes, I agree with that, but I still don't even have the application in front of me to know what is left that they are requested. I don't even know what dates they are, because what
Okay.
you sent me has no attachment. So,
Let me
It's
try.
down the right. Actually, Celine, you'll see the attachment came from him. The email came from Mark. Below it is the information from Lindsay. And if you go down farther, you'll see a thing that says Konica copier scanner.
yeah, I have no way of clicking on that. I saw that.
Because there's 4 attachments on the bottom, and the one on the end is a PDF that opens. That's the only thing I can see, because I was able to open it up and
I saw the link, but I can't open it.
okay. I mean, my problem is this doesn't represent the company that wants to do this. We don't have any information. They didn't follow up with us. I'm sorry COVID hit and we weren't able to meet for 3 months. And we were focused on other things for the last meeting. We've got some things done. But if he's changing names of businesses and doing all that and just thinks that he can just do this, I'm sorry, he's gonna have to follow things a little better.
And what date is he looking at? I still don't even know. Is it July 7th through July 10th?
July
used to be
6th through the
later in the
10th.
month.
July 6th through 10th, next Monday through Friday.
Mm,
And
And
a
then
date,
again
it
in
looks like,
August, then again in
I-
August,
it looks like the 17th to the 21st, and I don't know if those dates are accurate or not. I can't read it. Trying to check right now. That would be correct. It's a Monday to Friday. And I'm questioning in here, is it just the 2 weeks? Or is he asking for it every single week? For
No.
field
No,
two?
he typically asks for 2 1-week sessions. That I know.
It says 2 weeks camp atop, so I just want to make sure. But again, it says a start date July 6 to 10, and an end
Yep.
date August 7. This,
no, not the end date. One is July 6th to the 10th.
Mark,
4
look at the
days.
attachment. I'm looking at the attachment in front of me. The start
He
date,
never-
field
it's
2.
because he doesn't
just
fill
threw it
out the
together.
application correctly. ever.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying. I'm sitting here looking at an application for a group for GPS North Shore. Yes, Stefano's name's on it. But we don't have any updates. He's got a start date showing of a week and an end date showing of a week instead of either filling it in or being a little bit more clear. He just kind of threw it together. I mean, all the phone numbers and everything are all the same. And we don't have a Corey, don't have an insurance form. I mean,
It's-
talk about throwing something up against the wall and hoping it
Okay.
sticks.
It's not GPS soccer anymore. So
If he had reached up before the last meeting and said, hey, I've changed my name from this to this, this is what I'm looking at, we could have, then fine.
But we know that he changed his name because he sent in another document with the name change.
Do we know isn't he part of both groups? Or has he made
There
that
is no
official?
both groups. It's one group.
I'm not aware of anything like this.
Okay.
I just know Stefano's a part of both groups. I just don't know if he's part of 2 groups or he's part of 1 group and is changed over. I have no idea.
Okay. What do we need to do to make this happen, or do you just want to scratch it? Call it.
If
Well,
I'm
he
doing-
needs to submit an updated application and we'll figure out what he needs.
If he can get this back to us by tomorrow with a Corey, with all the information,
You hear, Alicia?
Yes, I am, sorry.
I'll make this motion then. Provided, I make a motion that we accept the application from Stefano from the business that he is looking at, provided we get by tomorrow, end of day, an application with all the correct information, a Corey and insurance form, and a correct the application filled out so we can clearly see both weeks. So I know what we're looking at. If I can have that by tomorrow, I would approve. That's
You're
my
frozen,
motion.
Mike? You're frozen?
yes,
Anybody else see me?
Yeah.
President.
You
Frozen?
got me, Celine? David? Alicia?
I see you.
Okay, I mean, I'm right here. I don't see any issues, so, but if you do, let me know. I'm just making a motion. If we can get all the information that we need, a completed application, the name of the business that he is representing, his information, an insurance and a Corey form with a list of his players, or we have an idea of how many people are showing.
No, we don't need that. It's not required anymore.
Okay, well, according to the phase 2, he can't have more than 10 people on the field. That includes coaches.
All the programs that are operating under phase 2 are acutely aware of it, particularly those that are operating under the auspices of mass youth soccer. In fact,
Okay.
in many of these places, mass youth soccer.
Skip the line of that. As long as he's aware of what the guidelines are, and if we can have it all by the end of
That-
tomorrow, I do it.
Okay.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we move it to Thursday, end of business day?
No, because he has to submit everything to Lindsay. Lindsay's out
That's
on
what I'm saying.
Friday.
But
She-
that's what I'm
all
saying.
right.
If it's in-
Mark,
in-
I'll split the difference. Noon on Thursday, because she's out of the office at 4 o'clock. That
Perfect.
gives him some time on Thursday to do it.
Where's the application so we know what subsequent information needs to be provided, or what are we asking for?
I want it all. I want the application completed, I want the Corey, and I want the insurance information. If he can't get that 4 days before he's supposed to start, we got a problem.
And the application needs to be properly filled out because nothing
What's
against.
wrong with the
I like
application
him, but he
besides?
Well,
does
what's
not-
wrong with the application? The name of the company for first start off. He's representing one business, and his Corey's going to be completely different than the application.
Keep that in mind when we get with other businesses.
Oh, I have no
It's gotta be
problems in it. I
fair
do
to
that all the time.
everybody.
Oh, I'll push it with everybody.
Okay.
Triton Youth Soccer doesn't do it or whatever, but everybody's doing it. He's trying to get this in, which I understand, but there was no follow-up in his part, and we're trying to help him as much as we can.
Is there a liability if the insurance and the COVID is under, the Corey is under the wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That's all.
He's got noon on Thursday.
Should be able to do that. That's,
All I'm saying, all I'm
Should be
saying, Mike,
easy enough to do.
all I'm saying is we accepted other applications without the correct name on it, and then nobody complained.
What would that?
I'd like an example of that.
The Triton Youth Lacrosse,
What's their proper name then?
what's their other name?
Georgetown Triton Youth Lacrosse.
When did
You're
that?
talking about a technicality on that compared to someone that's got a completely different business.
No, this is a different business.
So you're telling me GPS North Shore no longer exists?
Yes,
They do exist or do not?
to best of my knowledge, they don't exist.
You want to reach out to Stefano and let him know what he's got for the guidelines, we'll go with it. I'm giving him till noon on Thursday.
So, and
That's the motion, it's been seconded.
as a caveat, Mark, that season for Georgetown and Triton didn't happen.
Doesn't.
And, you know, you gotta, never mind.
Yep.
We're in discussion right now, unless everybody's got any more discussion on this. All is in favor? Celine?
Aye.
Okay, sorry, I apologize, must have been between.
But
Mark?
who's gonna follow up this go ahead.
Let's
Mark,
do the
are you
vote.
approving? Yep, Mark?
Yes.
David?
Nope.
It passes 2-1. Mark, I want the information sent to me, not to Celine. She's got too much going on the next couple of days. So have it sent to me. Whether you want to
Okay.
have it sent to you and then you send it to me, I don't care. But I'll be on my phone
It's
all day
frozen.
Thursday.
We should just CC everybody,
CC the group.
the whole group.
But I just gotta make sure my email is done properly on that because I won't get
Okay,
it.
Michael, I can't hear you. You're frozen.
Someone else tell him, please.
He's
Because if he
not,
can't hear me, I don't know what's going
you
on.
need to make sure you're using his correct email address.
Yeah.
And to see the group.
MACV,
Yep, 21@gmail.com.
MACV21@gmail.com.
Thank you,
Got it.
Celine. All right.
And apologize to him, but I do think a little bit of the onus is on him to not wait until the last minute.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, we're trying to work with him, but we're also working out of this, shutdown time. And, I thought the spring season was shot. We gave people credits and, he could have put it back on our radar. Hey, what about my summer season? So,
Yep, I agree 100%.
okay.
Okay, new business. Latest health update and field availability. We know we're available for the summer. We're in phase 2. We just discussed everything on Stefano's. Does anybody else know of anything else that's going on other than this Coach Mo that I have to reach out to as well? And I'll make sure his dates do not conflict with Stefano's.
Well, there's
Just in
plenty of
case.
field space on that anyway. We'll be fine.
Well, I gotta make sure there's enough space around it so we don't have the distance issue.
So the other thing that I'm just going to chime in on, thank God we've had rain for the last couple days. But my concern is if it goes back in a drought and we have usage on those fields, which were dry as can be, is that a bad idea or a good idea? Do you guys have any input on that?
I think the usage is minimal.
I agree.
2 one-week sessions, it's not a big deal.
All right, excellent.
And we do have sprinkler systems out there that are fueled by well, right?
And they've been going every day because I
Yeah.
go by in the morning and I'm seeing them.
Self-sustaining system. I think it's okay. If
Excellent.
it would be the opposite if it was too much rain and they were going to trash the fields.
Anything else on this subject? The budget and the purchases availability, I sent you guys the spending plan, so let's look at things that we can possibly purchase. But where we can't get it in before, it's not worth pushing in because it's 8 o'clock now. And everybody has been sworn in to another year of this based on their hearings. So thank you all very much.
I have
On
a
that
few
joint-
things. I got a notice from Lindsay. I need to, or somebody needs to, and the reason I'm suggesting myself is the individual who donated the money would like to remain anonymous.
Yep.
And in order for us to get that into our account, I have to sign basically a deposit slip with the check on it. It's a procedure. I will send people a blank one when I get from Lindsay tomorrow, so you know what we're discussing. But when we get the check from Triton Youth Basketball, we'll have to sign that to go into the proper account. So
Okay, you're requesting the check
I'm
from them
asking,
because I didn't know whether or not we were still
make a
going to.
motion that I sign appropriate documentation to
Mark, you're gonna have to hold on a second. One, at least to me, your screen's frozen. But we have to look at this at both pieces. We have yours and we have the Triton Youth Basketball one. So we got whatever motion we have is gonna have to apply to both.
So let me just say, Triton Youth Basketball has the money in a separate account. Are we requesting that money from them now? Or are we gonna put the donor's money in that account towards it's already an account there. You're
I can't
muted,
hear Mark.
Mark. Hold on.
I don't know if he's muted or not. He is muted.
Go ahead.
the money we got from the donor has been deposited.
Where?
Town of Newbury.
Okay.
They're setting up a restricted funds account. I can give you the account number if you'd like.
No.
That any monies that we get that's restricted for the basketball will go into that account. I need to sign a document to put the money in. So I make a motion that I sign the document so that we can put the money into that account.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? I think thank you for setting that up. And Celine, I think we were gonna probably go next is if we can get the check from Triton Youth Basketball and put it in that account, it would make more sense.
Okay.
Because that account is specifically only for the basketball court only, which is what Triton Youth Basketball wanted.
Well, the letter we got from Triton Youth Basketball, I don't want to mix things up here. It does state it can be used. My suggestion is we hold on to it because we may be able to use it for something else. If our bid comes in at $90,000 or $92,000, we take the allocation from the town and this private donor, make it happen. And then money at Triton Youth Basketball, they can reallocate it to another basketball court someplace. But if it goes into the account, it stays in the town account. It doesn't come out. And the way the language is written on that letter from the
Your individual.
Triton Youth Basketball, it says it can be used. They're the fiscal conduit. The people who raised the money wanted it to go for that. Things may have changed. I wouldn't put it in the account until we absolutely had to.
My only concern is they're gonna change officers shortly and we have a letter, but I wanna make sure we get the funds and something doesn't happen. That's my only concern in that
So
regard.
hold on a second. I think at town meeting, didn't you say that you had $19,000 in donations that were
Yes.
privately raised?
Yes.
Okay, so that money does have to go in there.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay.
All right, so
So-
Mark's gonna set up the account and get the money. We just need to get the other check and deposit both the monies into that.
So Michael and I, we just need to reach out to Matt Doring to kind of get that money funneled over.
So can we finish this vote?
Yes. Any other discussion? All those in favor and having Mark, was it, right?
Sign the deposit slip. Sign
Okay.
appropriate documentation
To put
to
the
account for the fund.
deposit, to make sure it goes in the right account. Celine,
Yep.
Mark, David,
Yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
it's approved. Celine and I will then reach out to Matt and try to get the other money, and once that's done, we'll get that money in the account as well. All right, what's next, Mark?
That one. We need to make sure we reorganize people stay with the same positions. So you're staying president, secretary.
Oh, I'm all for someone taking my position. I have no problem in doing that. But I know
David?
Celine won't do it, and I don't think David's crazy enough yet. But if Dave Dempsey was here, I'd be more than happy to hand this over to him. But I also know he's in the middle of his summer season as well.
All right, so let's just keep it where.
So we can table that. We'll do it next month when we get everybody
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I would table that until you have a full committee.
Okay.
Well, we have
And-
5 right now, and we need to get a 6th, and we need to fill the student thing, whether we can do it or not. And if we don't fill the student role, I would like to get someone else on, because it's only 1 year commitment anyway, each
Yep.
year, but I'd like to get that filled.
So are you looking to fill it with 2 more bodies or 1?
One definite,
One
Yes.
adult, one, and work could be a child, but one dedicated spot for a Newberry student.
So
If
why doesn't
someone- if someone-
Can David, can you reach out to Patrick Heffernan and see if he wants in again?
What's that again?
Can you reach out to Patrick Heffernan and see if he wants to come back to the committee for a year?
Travels too much.
What's that?
this
Vicky
travels too much. That's what kills it.
No, he
Okay,
I will
Okay.
reach out.
sounds
Okay.
good.
Just ask. He can
I'd
always
love to
say
have
no.
that, because this is his project, his baby, so.
Yep.
If not, David, let me know. I have 2 people I'm gonna reach out to, just myself anyway, and just to see if there's any interest. And if there is, I will certainly present it to the board at that time.
Yeah, I think there might be, I mean, I can't say affirmative, but there might be a possibility he'll come back.
Well, however many people we can get lined up would be great.
We maxed at 7, so it's a question of how we want to go from there. So, but yeah, I'm gonna reach out to my 2 people that I'm thinking about and see what they say. So I'd rather have more than not enough.
Yep.
So, what's next, Mark?
Trash is being picked up tomorrow.
Excellent.
David,
And didn't hear
David,
you.
I couldn't hear you.
do
We all
they
said awesome.
offer to
No.
get in the trash bin? There was a lock there, and I want to make sure they know how to, or I can go tonight and lock it.
It should be unlocked. The bar should be down. I think DPW.
It wasn't locked the other day.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
I was down the other day and it wasn't locked.
And once it's picked up tomorrow afternoon, I'll call or email Tracy to talk to DPW and they can lock it back up again. In the meantime, we'll be working on cleaning, what the cleaning protocol is for the fall if we decide to open up the bathrooms at the field house.
Right now, we're not allowed to. There's no
Okay,
facilities.
what
But
I said
if we-
was,
I heard
I'm
what you said,
working on it.
Mark. If you want to talk to someone, that's great. But until someone says something, we can do it. I mean, we can go back to the 2 a day, the twice a week. But that's as far as we're going to get until someone tells me differently.
right now, the phase 3 and phase 4, they're gonna be daily, at least, if not twice a day, depending on usage. So that's a budgetary.
That's a huge budgetary thing for us because that was killing us.
I don't recommend opening them up.
Nope.
I think
Um,
we're gonna have
I
shutdown.
wanted just to go back and say something about, I'm sorry, I know you already moved on, but the Board of Selectmen is meeting again on the 25th of July. So anybody who's interested in serving on the committee, have them send a letter to the Board of Selectmen at the town of Newbury before then. So we'll get on that agenda.
Mhm.
Great.
Just so everybody's aware, we were paying $600 a month for the cleaning service under the old situation. It was costing us $7,200 a year. Ballpark. That was for all year long. I mean, we certainly cut back on certain months and everything. But that number, if we go to daily or twice day, if we something like that, it would probably
Yeah.
double or triple. We'd be gone
I think
with our money. So
if it wasn't COVID time, then I'd be like, let's set up a plan. It seemed like the plan worked last time, but at this time, they may want us to call, it may come down, who knows what the fall is going to bring. And I just don't see us projecting how we can open up the bathrooms and how we can keep them clean.
No, and I believe, Dave, didn't, and Mark, try to remember me, didn't the health agent say that she didn't recommend bathrooms open at all?
What we were talking about phase 2
Right,
at that point, which is no bathrooms are open. Phase
Right.
4 is further down the line. Phase 3 is supposed to go into effect this week.
well, I
and
think
then-
we don't talk about phase 3 or phase 4 until it actually happens.
Well,
I mean, certainly,
okay,
it's,
it's just a
it's
budgetary
progressing.
issue, so when we talk to our fall applicants, we can give them clear and accurate picture, because they would need to plan for non-bathroom on game days in particular.
Well, I think when games are started again, I think we can talk about bathrooms then, but I don't think we're gonna see games in the fall. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that people can't use those fields and do, practices and do whatever, but I don't see any games being played, sharing a ball and all that other stuff.
I don't think the games will be played until that it's open. I just don't see that happening. That's
Until
like,
when?
until everything is open, like that there's no phase 4 that we're totally open, and that the whole COVID thing is gone. I just don't see it. If possible, considering what we're seeing happening down south, and then if you extrapolate that and that back here, I just don't see that happening.
Well, if you just look at what the guidance that came out of the DESI's guidance about schools, they have to have sports guidance. I don't think they're going to be playing any sports.
I think they're going to try, Alicia. It's where Mark was talking about phase 3 and 4. They're not
Yeah.
going to make that decision until at least if 3 is on schedule. I think they're going to still try to push it because there's a lot of things going on about that. So
Yeah.
I think we need to kind of let's see where we get to phase 3, and then we can certainly look from there.
Well, I think in phase 3, youth sports can resume with limited crowd sizes. That's
Yeah.
phase 3, and that's the vigilance stage.
All right. Well, like I said, let's see what's going on, and we'll go from there. Mark, anything else on that list?
Not that I can see, thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to? Oh, actually, hold before we adjourn.
Next
If
meeting?
we meet the next meeting the first of the month, it would be next Monday. Which don't take it personally. Next week's gonna be a crazy time for me.
Yep.
So do we want to wait until the first meeting in August, which would be August 3rd, or do we want to meet before then?
I think we should maybe meet 14th, 13th.
Let me take a look real quick. I'm on the site right now and signed in, so.
Applications. I think because the COVID thing is changing so often, I don't think we can wait a month to discuss it. We could do a really short meeting if that's what we need to do.
There are no meetings on Monday, so we can meet the 13th, the board's meeting next day, according to the board's calendar, or we can meet the 20th. So you want to meet in 2 weeks?
I'm game
Or
for
3.
whatever.
So
Sure.
is Amy gonna be around the 13th or the 20th? Those are the 2 days, and they're both wide open, so we can take what we want.
Either.
Go on the 20th. It gives us 3 weeks to work through a couple of things, and we'll get it done. 6 to 7:30, that's
Yeah.
our normal time.
So we're gonna still be in Zoom at that point, as far as everyone knows?
I think
Yes.
so. Alicia, am I correct? I
Yeah,
don't think we're gonna be back in town hall for at least phase 3. Phase 4, they'll make the decision, so, but I think that our next meeting will definitely be a Zoom, and then we'll go from there.
So Monday, July 20th at 6 p.m.
That's correct. Do I hear a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close at
8:16.
18. Yep.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? Selena, you in favor?
I'm in favor.
Favor.
David?
Absolutely.
Mark?
Yes.
All right, we're done.
Be well.
Thank you, everybody.
thank you, everyone.
Selena, I'll
Good
talk to you on
night.
Friday. Bye,
All right.
guys.
Good night.